Hello everybody, it's Henry. So Coffee Shop Talk is going to be about inspect what you expect. So if you're supervisor, leadership, and you're managing and running people, after you give them certain job tasks, and you need to go behind and inspect the work. Just a glance, just a look, to make sure that the expectations of success, what they have done, is completed. I've learned, being a leader, being in charge of people, that if you don't do it, you'll get bit. You have to be involved. If you don't inspect what you expect and go back and look at what they're working on and check the progress or what they're doing, what'll happen is you'll slowly get failure and degrading of the work practices. You have to in order to maintain an average or above performance level. It's a given fact. People start getting slack, they get lazy, they see it's the end of time, leaving for the day, or they have a bad day, or their attitude has been impacted by outside forces, right? If you don't go through and just inspect what you expect and then praise for the work that's completed, right, and stay on top of it, you'll get bit. It's a proven fact. You cannot be the supervisor that sits at the desk and manages from a computer, text, emails, voicemail to your people without inspecting their work. You have to take your hiney down to the job site and you have to go look and inspect it to make sure the expectation you set with your people is there and it's professional. If you don't, something catastrophic will happen, something small will happen, or just overnight you'll really have a big mess. You have to do it. It's a requirement, I'm telling you. If you're running 12, 14, 20, even 3 people, you're running at 20, 40, 50, even 100 some people, and you don't go back and expect that and hold a standard, then you won't get, your expectations will be let down later. You won't get what you think you get. It will slowly degrade. It's natural. I've been down that road. I've seen it. I know I've been a victim of it as a leader, not inspecting what I expect. You have to take the time and go do it. I can give you a bunch of scenarios. Here's a good one. One time we were lining up to load oil. I put people in charge. We did a brief, talked about set expectations. I had one guy in charge. That one guy that was in charge, the reason I picked him, he was a second class at the time. I picked him is because he opened a certain drain valve, and putting him in charge, knowing where that drain valve was, that he opened it, that he had to go back through and shut it. He even drew oil samples off it. We flushed through it, so he knew where and what, who, and what he had to do. So I put him in charge of the unload and checking the valves and doing a valve lineup to ensure that drain valve didn't get missed. So I did the brief, made sure he understood the responsibilities, what we were doing, sent him off. I got report that the valve lineup was done. And normally what I would do is something that critical, that drain on that tank, I had gone and checked it myself just to make sure to cover my ass. So I should have inspected what I expect, but I didn't. I entrusted totally in these 2 people's hands doing a valve lineup check. Lo and behold, it was a rising stem valve. So they looked under it, and the perception that it gave them that it was shut instead of going and putting their hands on it. Because it took a lot of effort to climb in there to shut this one particular valve. So they didn't shut it. So we started loading oil. I was up top, leading and making sure everything was going smooth. No leaks, everything was good. Started pumping oil. Got about to the 350 gallon mark, and I knew I'd be getting close to 400 gallons and we used to be stopping. So I called down for a tank level. Now the tank indication level was on a different level from where the drain was. Drain was in the bilge, way down in the bottom of the boat. And he said, oh, I haven't had any raise in level. So one of the briefs was, when we did this, an expectation was, you should see an indication around 25, 50 gallons, levels going up. You should report that. If it doesn't move, and I report it down every 50 gallons that we've loaded, and something doesn't go right, that phone talker should have called up and said, hey, something's wrong. What you get is people don't fully comprehend their tasking. They'll go, yeah. They're not really paying attention to detail, even if you make them repeat it 20 million times. They go do the job and they're distracted in their head somewhere. And what you get is a failure. So I wasn't getting a level increase. This is going on twofold now. Tank drain valve wasn't checked properly shut. And so right away my heart starts pounding. I know there's something wrong. So I stop and decease. I tell the guys on the phone to go down, go check the bilge. And lo and behold, there's 300 gallons of oil in the bilge down there. So being a fairly new leader of this evolution and of this division, and only been on board maybe a month with these guys, not really understanding their full potential as a leader, I learned very valuable lessons. I had to inspect what I expect, I had to follow up what I needed, I had to recheck myself before I relied totally on those guys to do the job and do it correctly and not hang me out to dry. They didn't do it intentionally. There was just a lot of misunderstanding, and the guys weren't well trained. And then I'm a new leader with new information, new requirements, new idealisms, new leadership style, new expectations. They learned real quick how I operate. Shut the whole process down. Now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got an oil truck sitting up there. I got permission from the captain to continue filling until it was full. Since we stopped it, guys had to wait in there. Luckily, the flood door was shut, so the oil was probably halfway up the door, because you're talking 300 gallons dumped back there, right? And we just held it until we finished, and the guys had to wait through the oil to get in and out of there and climb over stuff. But the valuable lesson with myself was, and I followed what a long time ago an old Master Chief told me, I always inspect what I expect so that my expectations are never, ever let down. And I've always come true with that. Everywhere I go around expecting what I expect, and I inspect it and make sure that it's okay. And then I follow up on myself and make sure that I got what I requested. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed, you'll have errors, or somebody will get hurt. I have other different times that I know that the chief or in first class that was in charge of us never inspected what they expected, and guys got hurt, things got operated improperly. I can give you more examples, not of me doing it now that after I become a leader, but working around other divisions with my other chiefs in first classes that sat at their desk all day and never ever went and inspected what they expected. Never ever. And then boom, they had catastrophic failure or issues. So you have to, as a leader, you have to inspect what you expect. You got to make sure that you got clear guidance on what's being told and information's passed properly. I don't know how many times throughout my life at work I've had people come out to me and knowing that there's a task at hand they got to do and not having the right or the full information what they're really doing. I deal with that daily. I've dealt with it through my whole career. And as a leader, you got to make sure that you do that, inspect what you expect, and you do that clearly information, communicating clearly with the people, and they understand what you're asking them to do. Otherwise, you'll get a shit sandwich. And a shit sandwich will bite you in the butt, and somebody ultimately could be hurt. Or dump a lot of oil, or do something even worse, dumping oil or fuel in the water, or even causing a fire or a big accident. So you got to do that. There's no way as a leader you can get around with it, not inspecting what you expect. You need to do that. You need to engage with them after you send them out. You need to go check on them, and you need to look at the work. Because if you don't know the training that you held with the information you passed was correctly given or correctly understood or correctly executed. You could be left out to hang and get in a lot of trouble. And it happens a lot, believe it or not. And you can't be that guy that says, oh, well, I'll get over it. They do it to me all the time. You can't have that. Soon it will be somebody's life that'll be in jeopardy, and you don't know if you electrocute them, blow them up with hydraulics, blow up a component, cause a fire. You can't take that risk. You don't own that risk, and you shouldn't take that risk without inspecting your people and making sure that they're actually doing what you asked them and doing the task correctly. So that's what I task you with as a leader, to listen to this coffee shop and actually follow up with your people and inspect what you expect and make sure they're holding the standard that you expect of them so that you or them or somebody else doesn't get hurt. All right, that's my coffee shop talk. I want everybody to have a great day. Henry out.